into the microphone?
Hi.
I know you don't want
Good.
to. I know that because you don't. So, about this far from the microphone. We have software that transcribes, and the software has no idea what you meant when you weren't speaking into the microphone. So please do. You have yours. You have yours. Now, we have noticed that those of you on BZA are speaking into it.
So it's usually
let's bring that behavior over here.
on a lot of these you don't even really want
We had
to
a
check
tough
mark 'em.
time
You
with
can,
some minutes.
usually if they all say aye, you just write unanimous. Sentiments.
And I'll tell you, the worst one was one of
Praise
ours.
is not going to be here tonight. Yeah.
Sarah. Michelle?
Yes. No, thank you. I brought my own.
I'm fine, thank you. I'm speaking into the mic. I'm good, thanks.
That's a great idea, Commissioner Greenway.
By example, right there.
Everyone wants it. Well done. I almost said that into the mic.
Tonight's invocation will be led by Commissioner Erickson, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Baker. Please join us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lord of wisdom, we pray that you will bless this meeting. Help us have fun, yet productive discussions that will broaden our perspective. Help us take the various ideas presented and think of ways to flesh them out. If we do disagree, let it be on the content and not the personality conflicts or power plays. Help us to resolve any disputes gracefully, be creative problem solvers, and have great team spirit. Help us to find principles that we can all agree on and to put these into action. Our prayer for production discussions. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Planning Commission meeting for April 14th, 2022 is now called to order. We encourage you to wear your mask while indoors and to observe the 6-foot social distancing. When your name is called, please come to the podium. Address your comments to the Planning Commission, not the audience. Any questions that you will ask will be answered once everybody that has signed up has spoken. We understand you have strong feelings one way or another. Out of courtesy, unless it is your turn to speak, please remain silent. Please refrain from applauding, cheering, booing, or other verbal outbursts. This is a fact-finding hearing. If a previous speaker has stated the points in which you wish to make, you simply acknowledge that so the hearing may proceed. There is no need to repeat what has already been said. The applicant will have 5 minutes to speak. Other speakers each will have 3 minutes. Please respect the time limit. If you intend to speak, please sign up at the table in the back of the room. Names will be called in order on the sign-up sheet. Ms. Dobbs, Sweet Dobbs, please call the order, or call the roll.
Erickson,
Present.
Greenway,
Present.
Walker,
Here.
Gerke,
Present.
Janet,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Stafford,
Present.
Ramick, and Hobby.
Present. May I have a motion for approval of last month's minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? The agenda is approved. The first item on tonight's agenda is the consent agenda. Items placed in this section are applications in which demonstrate compliance with all applicable city requirements. These items shall not involve discussion by the Planning Commission and/or the public. The consent agenda will be voted on in one motion. However, if any two commissioners so desire, individual items may be discussed and/or voted upon in a separate matter of business. May I have a motion for approval of tonight's consent agenda with staff findings and recommendations?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Director Selman, will you read the items on the consent agenda?
Thank you. Item number 1 is a request by Mason's Coin and Pawn for specific approval for outdoor display in the C2 General Business District. Recommendation is for approval with 9 conditions, and I will read the conditions into the record. Number 1, the development site shall be constructed and developed in strict accordance with the approved site and development plan, including but not limited to location of buildings, drives, parking, and landscaping. 2, all construction and construction activity are to be accomplished in strict accordance with all approval conditions and with the minimum standards, codes, rules, and regulations and policies as may now or hereafter be required or enacted by the City of Hot Springs, the State of Arkansas, and/or the United States of America, including the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, whether or not submitted for staff review or Planning Commission approval. Number 3, separate permits shall be made by the applicant to Hot Springs Engineering Department, and permits shall be in hand for stormwater, drainage, and sidewalks as may be required prior to any work beginning. 4, a separate signed permit application, review, approval, and a permit shall be required prior to installation of any signs on the property. Number 5, elevation drawings shall be submitted for approval at time of building permit to verify compliance with the Malvern Avenue Overlay District masonry facade requirement. Number 6, all exterior lighting shall be fully downcast, full cutoff fixtures, and shall contain all illumination on the subject property. Number 7, when the existing sewer to the neighboring lot to the north is abandoned, it should be capped at both ends. Number 8, Ordinance 15-930A. Maintain the boundaries of work at least 5 feet from any public right-of-way or proposed right-of-way unless approved otherwise by the city engineer. And number 9, multiple building or large-scale plans approved by Planning Commission shall be effective for 1 year from the date of approval. Prior to its expiration date, the Director of Planning and Development may extend the original site plan approval for up to 2 one-year periods upon the applicant's written request. This approval shall be effective until April 14, 2023. The next item applicant is Vernon Williams with Garnet Engineering, seeking conditional use application approval to construct and operate a new convenience store at the intersection of Shady Grove Road and Carpenter Dam Road. Recommendation is for approval with 7 conditions. I'm going to read those into the record too. Number 1, all construction and construction activity are to be accomplished in strict accordance with all applicable approval conditions and with the minimum standards, codes, rules, and regulations and policies as may now or hereafter be required or enacted by the City of Hot Springs, the State of Arkansas, and/or the United States of America, including the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, whether or not submitted for staff review or Planning Commission approval. Number 2, the development site shall be constructed and developed and maintained in strict accordance with the approved site plan and development plan, including but not limited to location of buildings, drives, screening, parking, and landscaping. Number 3, separate permit application shall be made by the applicant to Hot Springs Engineering, RDOT, and permits shall be in hand for stormwater, drainage, and sidewalks as may be required prior to any work beginning. Number 4, a separate sign permit application, review, and approval shall be required prior to installation of any signs on this site. 5, all exterior lighting shall be fully downcast and full cutoff and shall contain all illumination on the subject property. Lighting shall be positioned so as to create a nuisance neither to any adjacent properties nor to pedestrian or vehicular safety. Number 6, preserved trees shall have protective fencing out to the drip line from the beginning of construction until the completion of construction. Number 7, the applicant has an affirmative responsibility to demonstrate ongoing compliance with the conditions of this approval. Violation of any of these conditions so imposed shall constitute grounds for revocation or modification of this conditional use permit by the Planning Commission per Hot Springs Code 16279. Yes. We have a conditional use request for construction of a commercial shopping center.
You already read that one.
I did. That one's done. They're all done? That's unbelievable. All right.
You read fast tonight.
Okay, the conditions for item number 1. There are 3 conditions. The site plan shall be regulatory. Items in area for display and storage shall be orderly and shall be limited as described on the application plan. And pavement and access shall be compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act. All right, and the 9 conditions go with the construction of a commercial shopping center with restaurant and drive-through. Okay, thank you. Sorry for any confusion. That concludes the 3 consent items.
Thank you. All those in favor for the consent agenda?
Do we do a roll call on this one?
Yes.
Roll call?
Walker,
Approve.
Greenway,
Approved.
Erickson,
Approve.
Gerke,
Approve.
Baker,
Approve.
Janet,
Approve.
Stafford,
Approved?
Ramick, and Hobby.
Approve. The consent agenda is approved, items 1 through 3. The next item on tonight's agenda is new business. There will be an opportunity for the applicant and for the public to provide testimony. Director Selman, would you introduce?
Madam Chairman, I need to recuse myself from this item.
As
Thank
do
you.
I.
Thank you.
Do we still have a quorum to vote?
We have a quorum? Yes, we do. Okay.
Sorry about that. Director Selman, would you please introduce item number 4?
Thank you. Item number 4, excuse me, RZ 22040, a rezone request to change zoning from C2 to R4 for property located at the corner of Liberty and Federal Streets in the Murray and O'Brien subdivision.
A motion to approve merely gets the matter onto the floor for discussion. A motion to approve and a second does not mean that you are necessarily in favor for the particular item. May I have a motion for approval for item number 4?
So moved.
Seconded?
Planning commissioners, please hold your questions until everybody has has presented. Director Selman, would you please present the staff report on item number 4?
Thank you. Item number 4, applicant Cindy Wagstaff is representing property owner Habitat for Humanity in seeking zoning change from R4 medium high density residential to C2 general business district for a property located at Block 2, Lot 8, Murray and O'Brien Subdivision. The property is zoned R4, has a future land use map designation of residential medium high, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 2. Excuse me. Subject property is at the west side of the Federal and Liberty intersection. It's currently undeveloped with an unimproved driveway. It fronts Federal Street and is immediately south of applicant Habitat for Humanity's Restore and Administrative Campus. Residential homes are to the west and south. Liberty Street right-of-way is to the east, across Federal. The applicant purchased this property on August 3rd, 2021. The applicant's narrative provides a justification for a favorable consideration, asserting that Lot 8, which is vacant, abuts C2 zone developed land currently used by Garland County Habitat for Humanity Restore and Administration. If rezoned to C2, Lot 8 would support continued redevelopment of the Habitat site to provide additional office, enclosed storage, and parking space. And the application notes that it meets the Hot Springs Code standard for public need for land so zoned. The subject lot exists as the southernmost portion of a parcel of Grand Avenue facing commercial development, which is considered the fringe of the central business district. And in the concept and description section of Hot Springs Code, C2 zoning is described as being on the fringe of the central business district, and would appear to meet the requirements of the code also for this change. The zone change standards are in Hot Springs Code Section 16.211E, and these are mandatory findings which must be made in order to approve the zoning. The application adequately addresses the findings of fact that are required in the code. This is a small lot that enables complete redevelopment of an abandoned bank for use by an affordable housing provider, Habitat for Humanity. Habitat's recent and planned redevelopment demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development or zoning, and does in fact demonstrate a need for land so zoned. Redevelopment will require a landscape buffer and screen between the subject lot and a single-family residence on the south, and also one to the west. That buffer should mitigate potential negative impacts that might otherwise occur on these residential properties. The findings are that the application complies with the submission requirements per the code. The application convincingly addresses certain review criteria and findings of fact as required by Hot Springs Code 16.211E1. It demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning and development by providing a landscape buffer upon development, and it demonstrates a need for land so zoned to fulfill Habitat for Humanity's affordable housing mission. The subject's future land use plan map designation of residential medium high is not consistent with the rezone, and an appropriate future land use designation for the requested C2 zoning would be commercial enclave. The recommendation is that Planning Commission recommend that the Board of Directors approve an ordinance amending the zoning map from R4 medium high density residential to C2 general business, and amending the future land use plan map designation to commercial enclave because the application meets the requirements of Hot Springs Code Section 16 to 11E. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Director. Will the applicant now come forward, state your name and address? Is there anything that you would like to add to the record? And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Cindy Wagstaff with Garland County Habitat for Humanity, 240 Hobson Avenue. This is essentially going to be a rezoning to allow us to put a small parking lot to access future administration office that'll hold 8 or 9 people. So it's a very low traffic. It's the lowest traffic part of Habitat that we have. So we expect the impact on the community to be very minimal. And that's essentially it. Any questions for me?
Not at this point.
No. Is there anybody signed up to speak on this?
Yes.
In order to allow time for all the interested parties to speak, each person will have 3 minutes to state their case. Please address the comments to the commission, not to the applicant or the audience. Members of the commission can ask questions during the course of the discussion process. Can I have Deborah Pitts please come forward? State your name and address.
Deborah Pitts, 120 Federal Street.
Will you speak into the microphone, pretty please?
Deborah Pitts, 120 Federal Street. I don't have much to add to the Habitat, what they want to do or anything, except that I do feel I don't like it. I'm afraid that, it'll be the beginning of the end of our neighborhood. That's how I feel about it. So, could be wrong about that, but I don't want to find out. And that's about all I have to say.
Well, thank
Thanks.
you very much. Michael Stumbaugh.
I retract. I decided I didn't want to speak.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Wagstaff, you're on this. Was there anything else that you would like to add?
No, that was a mistake that I signed that.
Those of you who signed up to speak have done so. The public hearing is now closed. Planning commissioners, this is our time to discuss if we have anything to on this applicant.
I just, Madam Chairman, just have one question for Mrs. Pitts. Would just like to know what lot she, in relation to the numbered lots, where would you be located?
I am not the lot right next to where they're doing it, but the next one over.
Okay, lot
Next to Jose.
7, okay.
Yeah, 120.
Thank you.
Commissioner Greenway, do you have any?
I do not.
Commissioner Baker?
I don't think so.
Commissioner Walker?
No question.
Commissioner Stafford?
No questions.
Well, thank you very much. I have a motion to approve item 4, the staff report findings and recommendation is to approve. Ms. Sweet Dobbs, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Greenway,
Approve.
Gerke,
Approve?
Walker,
Approve.
Baker,
Approve.
Stafford,
Approve.
and Hobby.
Approve. Director Selman, will you please introduce item number 5?
Yes.
Could I remind everyone that we need to pull the ladies out?
And in this pause, I will mention that Planning Commission's action is a recommendation. The final decision will be made by the Board of Directors. And that meeting will be the first Tuesday in May at 6 o'clock.
10th.
You ready for the presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5 is a rezone request to change the current C4 R4 zone to completely be a C4 zone on 15 acres located on East Grand Avenue.
A motion to approve merely gets the matter on the floor for discussion. A motion to approve and a second does not mean that you are necessarily in favor of a particular application.
So-
May I have a motion to approve item number 5?
So motion?
Second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Director Selman, will you please present to the staff report on item number 5?
Yes, thank you. The applicant is Mr. Tim Winston, representing property owner Kevin Hale. He's requesting C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning on approximately 15 acres of land located around 1440 East Grand Avenue. The subject property is partly zoned R4, and part of it already is C4 Regional Commercial Open Display. It has a future land use classification of linear commercial corridor and residential medium high. It's located in Board of Directors District Number 1. Has approximately 700 feet of frontage on East Grand Avenue and approximately 263 feet of frontage on Chaucer Street. The R4 medium-high density residential zone portion is located on the southern side of the parcel, and on the northern side is C4 zoning already at this time. The request seeks to resolve this split zone issue by designating the entire parcel C4. We do have mandatory findings for a zone change, which must be made in order to recommend approval. Those are that the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development or zoning, that it is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code, that it implements an approved city plan, that it responds to significant change in the surrounding physical, economic, land use, or other condition, that it fulfills a demonstrated public need for land so zoned, and once in a great while would be needed to correct an error in previous city action. The narrative submitted a one-page, the applicant submitted a one-page narrative in support, which contains 2 findings. The application says this property is located at 1498 East Grand. To the west of its center lines is Gulf of Gorge Creek. To the east is the old Arkansas State Highway Department building. To the south, Chaucer Street Apartments and FedEx Distribution Center. The front half is zoned C4, the back half is zoned R4. The R4 areas of this property joins M1 and R4. And number 2, the topography of this property has a lot of steep grades and woods. We intend to develop this parcel if rezoned to all C4. Nice RV parking pads with hiking trails that will connect to Gulf of Gorge Park and North Mountain Trail systems. Our town has had a large increase in tourist visits, and with the nationwide increase of RV sales, we need more RV parking spaces to accommodate visitors. As an RV owner, these rigs with tow vehicles can be 75 feet long, and knowing where you can dock one coming into a town is a good feeling. We are still developing plans for the project, with costs rising every day, and are planning phase 1 with phase to be followed by phase 2. These facts enable Planning Commission to find that the requested zoning change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning as required by Hot Springs Code. If the change to C4 is approved, of course, the full range of C4 uses would be possible. The finding regarding the land use plan map is that the residential medium high designation should be changed to linear commercial corridor to give the subject property a consistent classification with the rest of the land in this site. And the recommendation is to recommend that the Board of Directors make that change. The zoning change finding is that the applicant successfully demonstrates that the standards for favorable consideration have been met. Planning Commission is able to establish a basis for recommending to the Board of Directors that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, and with that future land use map changed to linear commercial corridor, the subject property would have a consistent land use designation and be consistent with the majority of the surrounding C4 zoned properties and their future land use designations. The recommendation is to recommend that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map by designating the subject property C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District because you have made a specific finding that the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, and that the change is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Director Selman. Will the applicant now come forward? Please state your name and address. And is there anything you would like to add to the record?
No, thank you. Ms. Kathy's done quite well.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on?
No, we don't.
Those who have signed up or not signed up have done so. The public hearing portion is now closed. Planning Commissioners, we will now discuss the project amongst ourselves and take action. Commissioner Greenway?
No comments.
Commissioner Baker? Thank you.
I just had one question, Madam Chairman, about the buffer. Mr. Winston, how wide is that buffer going to be that is on the plan?
Say one more time.
The buffer?
The buffer
That's shown
next to the residential?
Yes.
I think 25 feet.
Okay.
It's either 15 or 25 feet.
Okay.
We intend to leave those trees around that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walker?
No question.
Commissioner Janet?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Stafford?
If I'm looking at the map right, I guess I'm just particularly sensitive to anything that may have a negative impact on our streams and so forth. And I know that the planning staff has done their work to make sure that that's not going to be the case, but I'd just like to hear your perspective on that.
Okay. Stormwater controls that, and the state also. And if the contractor messes up, they take him to jail. It's a tough business keeping sediment controlled, but we're working on that design now. And there will be a road crossing to phase 2, which this property has 0 utilities on it. No water, no sewer, no gas, has power. And we've got to run, if you look at the top where we've got phase 1 started, we have to come around to, is it Chelsea Street?
Chaucer.
And down Chelsea Street to get sewer and water connections up there. So phase 2 will be started just with the road in order to get our utilities to phase 1. And believe me, the Gulf of Gorge Creek is something to watch out for. We hauled 8 or 9 loads of trash from people that dumped up there and lived up there. And it was strewn all the way down the hill. Put a gate up, run them off, they go across the street, and they're camping in the Gulf of Gorge Creek now with trash.
Yeah,
It's a mess.
I drive by there every day, and there's a little homeless camp that lived on that property for a long time.
We've been cleaning the property up so we could tell what we need, how we were gonna develop it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your comments and your sensitivity to the issue. It's just something that, I mean, I just have strong feelings about protecting the resource that we have here in Hot Springs.
We intend to leave a lot of the trees and make trails in there.
Yeah.
That would come underneath, I guess it's the overpass, where Gulf of Gorge runs and
Yeah.
connect walking trails.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, that's one of the things this contractors fight most of the time is stormwater. And it's a big deal to protect the runoff from any site.
Mr. Winston,
Go ahead. I don't think.
is
Could-
phase
if
one
I-
starting immediately?
We talking to me? You got my hearing aids like wide open and I still have trouble. I'm sorry.
Is phase one starting immediately?
We would like to.
Phase 1 will need to have planning commission approval
Okay.
as a site plan.
I didn't catch that.
You're going to need site plan approval from planning commission to begin the project.
Okay, yes.
So,
We have not
yeah,
finalized that yet.
right.
What
So-
is the timeline for that?
We would like to get plans in here within the, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
We're working on it now. Quite a bit of design. And when you're working with the terrain, try to leave everything that you can natural and work around that. Limits you to how many spaces you can get.
It is. Looking at the topo map, there's a lot of work.
That's what I was looking
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
It is, and I might add, and I'm not blowing my horn up here, but my company has won Stormwater of the Month award job site about 4 times.
Good for you.
That makes me feel better.
But we still mess up once in a while.
That doesn't make me feel better. Anyway, thank you for that.
Commissioner
I just-
Erickson,
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Janet?
I just wanted to ask Michelle, this is in your district, and we've been kind of out in that general area before, and you were not pleased with the potential development. This one's,
To me, this one lends itself more to commercial than the other one did. It leaves more of a buffer than the other one did. This one is situated next to the centerfold, where the other one was situated next to a home on the backside.
Right.
So it just, to me, it's a little more pleasing to the residents that live in that area.
all right, thank you.
That's good to hear. Any other questions? I have a motion to approve item number 5. The staff report findings and recommendations is to approve. Ms. Sweet Dobbs, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Erickson?
Approve.
Janet?
Yes, approve.
Stafford?
Approve?
Baker?
Approve.
Walker?
Approve.
Gerke?
Approve.
Greenway?
Approve.
And Hobby.
Approve, thank you. Director Selman, will you now introduce item number 6?
Yes, I would like to mention that this was a recommendation, and the final decision will be made by the Board of Directors on the first Tuesday of May at 6 o'clock in this room. Item number 6. This is a rezone request to change the current R2 zone to M1, light industrial, for properties located approximately 421 Leawood Street.
A motion to approve merely gets the matter on the floor for discussion. A motion to approve and second does not mean that you are necessarily in favor of a particular item. May I have a motion to approve item number 6?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
It's either all or nothing.
Planning Commissioners, please hold your questions until everyone has presented. Director Selman, will you please present the staff report on item number 6?
Yes, thank you. The applicant and property owner, City of Hot Springs, seeks zoning change consideration to M1 light manufacturing for properties located at approximately 421 Leawood Street. The subject property is currently zoned R2 suburban residential, has a future land use plan map designation of residential low, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 2. You know about the mandatory findings, and so I will leave it at that. They appear in your staff report. The applicant submitted a one-page narrative in support of the request, which contains 2 findings. Those statements are: the surrounding uses consist of an existing city facility, undeveloped lots, and residential properties. This parcel is currently surrounded on 3 sides by city-owned property. And currently there is M1 zoning to the west and south of this parcel, C3 to the east, and R2 to the north. Therefore, there is a public need for a rezone of these properties. These facts enable Planning Commission to find that the requested zoning change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, as well as the requirements of Hot Springs Code Section 16-11E. The future land use plan map amendment finding is that the residential low designation that is currently on this land does not support the zoning, but adjacent M1 light manufacturing zone property to the east has a future land use plan map designation of industrial. The recommendation is to amend the future land use plan map from residential low to industrial, consistent with the adjacent properties. The zoning map amendment finding is that Planning Commission is able to establish a basis for recommendation to the Board of Directors that the proposed zone change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, and that there is a public need for land so zoned. The recommendation on the zoning is that Planning Commission recommend the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map by designating the subject property M1 light manufacturing, because Planning Commission has made a specific finding that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Director Selman. Will the applicant please come forward and state your name and address?
Thank you very much. My name is Denny McFate. I'm representing the City of Hot Springs, 133 Convention Boulevard. I'd like to add that the purpose and plan use for this property is to construct a new stormwater department facility. It would be state-of-the-art. We would like to move forward with building that this year. It'll have some of the most outstanding up-to-date amenities, from stormwater, water runoff quality control, rain gardens, and be a model site that we can show off to our community and contractors, and have training facilities at, and show them how stormwater things and amenities can be done on a construction site through a demonstration of what we intend on building. Thank you.
Do we have anybody signed up to speak on this item?
No, we don't.
Okay. The public hearing portion of this is now closed. The planning commissioners will have a moment to discuss the project and take action.
I think it sounds like a great idea. I like having a place to show people how to do it better. I agree that with Mr. Winston, that stormwater's a problem. It's difficult. And to be able to have the city show ways to handle it, I think it's great.
Commissioner Walker,
No question.
Stafford,
No questions?
Erickson,
No questions.
Greinke.
I had a question about whether or not they knew a range of size for the building, if that's been decided yet.
The square footage is 1,250 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Baker,
No questions.
Commissioner Greenway.
Is M1 required for this?
M1 is consistent with the rest of the city's campus.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
This-
that's the requirement then.
The intent would be to grow this into the rest of the campus.
I see. Okay. Nothing further?
I have a motion to approve item 6 with the staff report findings and recommendation is to approve. Ms. Sweet Dobbs, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Janet,
Yes, approve, please.
Erickson,
Approve.
Stafford,
Approve?
Baker. Approve. Gerke,
Approve.
Greenway,
Approve.
Walker,
Approve.
and Hobby.
Approve.
Okay, I think you know that this will go to the board after this recommendation. You ever heard that before?
Good luck with that bunch.
The next item on the agenda is the director's report. Director
Yeah.
Shellman?
Thank you. I wanted to mention, we had a great suggestion from Commissioner Stafford about setting up a common area for people to participate in the APA virtual national conference in May.
Oh, that's
So those who are signed up for that, we'll work on doing that. I think it would be productive for everyone to be able to get new information, discuss it, ask questions about how it might, apply to our situation. And so thank you for that idea. That was a
Sure,
good one.
I'm looking forward to learning, but suspect that most of the learning will come from being in the room with you guys.
Oh, good grief. Thank you.
Is the cone of silence, is that part of this meeting?
I don't know what that is. Anyway, that is it in terms of things that involve us. I do want to update on our hiring situation. We, for the second time, believed that we had someone for the long-range and historic preservation planning position, and once again, family considerations have intervened with the best laid plans, and so we're starting over again with that. We had hoped to have someone on board
Yeah.
quite a while ago, but the
Director
search
Shulman,
continues.
Are we getting a lot of applicants for the role?
No,
Is it secretly the pay that's keeping them from coming?
Well, this precisely is what was on my mind.
Good.
yeah.
I work for the state, so we have that problem all the time.
Yeah, this is an entry-level position.
So I'm going to say quality of life has to have something to do with
Quality
it.
of life is going to have to be a very high value for the person who comes here. Having said that, you can't live in the national park, and the increase in cost of living here, I think, is also beginning to affect. We always were able to say we have a really low cost of living, and that is changing. So
It's changing for everybody everywhere, though.
it is. It is.
Have you tried AARP?
I'm
AARP.
not old enough.
hiring retired people?
Um,
Advertised through AARP or something?
we're looking for someone with a degree in planning.
Well, they might have it,
Yeah.
they're just retired. I have friends in planning that are retired.
Yeah, yeah. We can try it.
I
What we're
don't know.
doing isn't working,
It's not my
so,
business, I just,
yeah. No,
a lot of
we can
people
try that.
retire and still want to work. Why don't you take it?
I'm trying not to work.
I will tell you that I have had experience in hiring retired people
It doesn't work.
who really want to be retired.
Oh.
And
My friend to the right here.
that may cover it.
I've had experience hiring not retired people that really want to be retired, so.
I will tell
I
you
hear
that my current, the applications that we're receiving now and the people that we're bringing in, it's really good.
Oh,
Really? Okay.
I
good for
mean,
you.
I'm not a big fan of job fairs, but I will tell you that I received 25 wonderful people out of the
Wow.
last job fair.
Wow.
And it was educated. I mean, it was a great job fair. And
Wow.
so maybe, hopefully there is a turnaround coming.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're still optimistic.
My next question is, have you thought about universities and internships for people who are about to graduate
We
that might
had-
want to
Actually,
start their
our
career?
our most recent person who accepted and then is not coming is someone who was to graduate from Iowa State in May. And so we are looking at that level of experience.
Wait a
If they
minute,
have-
I can talk to Iowa State. There's no snow here. Let me call them up.
I don't know. I
Let
don't
me call
know.
them up.
I mean, the pay may be part of it, and let them eat scenery only goes so far.
Yeah.
You know.
You
So
can't pay the bills with beautiful scenery.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going to take your
Yeah.
suggestion and we'll try that.
Yeah.
Were you able to get the word out to the preservation people?
I did. She didn't have anyone that she felt like would be an immediate ideal applicant for the
Yeah.
role. Doesn't University of Arkansas have a preservation department now? I'm pretty sure they do as a
I
part of their
don't know.
architectural.
I don't know.
It might be something to look at, University of Arkansas and see kind of what kind of programs are consistent with
Okay.
the skills that you are needing here.
I
Could be
know-
a win if we get somebody from that school too.
Yeah. Finding someone who wants to be in Arkansas, I think, is a big part of this because we would like to have someone who will stay for a little while. Arkansas does not have a planning program. This is a split position. It's about 50% long-range planning and 50% historic preservation. And the fact that we don't grow our own planners in Arkansas is a barrier to finding people who want to have a career in that field in Arkansas. So if you know anyone, please spread the word.
What a land of opportunity, though.
Well, and I
Yeah.
do believe that maybe that position is growing in a lot of different areas. So for what's probably a very small professional field, I think they're getting pulled.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at other states that are growing just as fast as we are.
And we are competing with some of the communities in northwest Arkansas, and their
Exactly.
pay scale is
Exactly.
more favorable.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Why?
And they advertise their natural amenities very, very well.
They do.
Not to
Yeah.
mention the fact that Walmart.
I was
They have
just
so much
saying the
money up
same
there,
thing.
is what teachers make about almost twice as much up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's the money come from?
Well, tax revenue.
Yeah.
Tax revenue.
You know, when Walmart, I mean, I don't, maybe when Walmart decided up there that everybody who does business with Walmart,
Their home office.
they had to have a
decision.
decision maker on the ground in
Oh,
Northwest
that's
Arkansas.
right.
So, I mean, in the last 20 years, you've seen several millionaires moved to the area. Lots
Yeah.
of growth.
In addition, the
Okay.
EDA has funneled millions and millions of dollars into infrastructure for technology companies to move in. So it's, plus the university, the sports, yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps lessons to be learned in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping next month we
What
have
can we do?
better news.
Get the Waltons to move to Hot Springs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That
They
would
give
do
so
it.
much money to education, I can't say anything bad about them, but
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
definitely well funded.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
Okay, with no further business to discuss, we are ready to
depressing.
adjourn the meeting April 14th, 2022.
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, I have to have a motion.
That's all you
Sorry.
need. All you need is a
Second.
motion. It's
Hey,
good.
There you go.
Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah, I got depressed.
there.
We're not such a great place anymore.
I
are
love
a
it
great
here,
place.
but I might
Yeah.
be just a unique, I mean, living in a big city, I adore this place.
I'm trying to
For
think
me to
now.
go to
agree with
Little
you.
Rock, I need to pack a bag because it's an overnight trip.
You and me too. I feel that same way.
I mean,
and I
so
don't want to
do
go.
I.
If
And
can only get in Little Rock,
when I
I'm
lived
not
in
getting
Kansas
it.
City, it was a 45-minute drive to work, you know?
Yeah, it takes that long.